Today I'm going to be doing a little maintenance on the RV. It's been 2 years since I've cleaned this tank out, and now it's time to do it. I'm going to show you the corrosion here that's built up inside. I'm going to show you, I think, an easy way to get this thing clean. When I took this thing apart the other day and changed the anode rod, I noticed that there was a lot of corrosion in there from that, which is good. You want the anode rod to take it, but there's little white chunks in there like you'd see on your water heater at home. My Suburban tank is a 6-gallon tank, and so what that means is I'm going to use 50% solution, and that's going to be half vinegar, distilled vinegar, and the other half water. And we're going to let that sit for 24 hours to eat out the rest of the junk that's in here. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure your tank is not on. If you use it on a regular basis, you need to let that thing cool off and then drain all the water out. If your tank is under pressure, it's the same thing. You want to use that relief valve first so that you don't get scalded or get a bunch of back pressure of water spraying you in the face. Now that that's out of the way, you need to take out the anode rod, drain out all the water, and now we're to the point where we can start working on this. In my case, the tank has been empty all season, and that's a good thing. I can never get all the water out at the bottom of this tank, so if you have ideas on how to do that, let me know in the comments down below. The tank is left open, so if it freezes, water's just going to come out the side and it's not going to warp or destroy the tank during the winter season for us. Now I use my endoscope. You can see the heating element itself has some plaque buildup, which we want to get rid of, and there's a little bit of stuff that's on the sides and of course sitting sediment on the bottom. And we want to flush that out. So I got one of these wands. It's a little tank flush wand, and I'll put a link in the description below. It's a little long wand that you're going to stick in there, turn the water pressure on, and flush this thing out. By stirring it all up and rinsing that tank out, you're going to get most of the junk out. We don't need it to be perfectly clean, but we do want a lot of this out before we add our solution to the tank. So now that the tank is empty, I've got a little flush that's gone on here, and I've got some crud. You can see in here, this is what's left over from flushing the tank out. There's not a lot, but this is what's in here just from average use. So here's the next step. We need to fill up the tank full of vinegar, and here's a simple little trick you can use to get that done. I went to the hardware store and I bought a 3/4 inch threaded pipe with an open end on one side, a little 4-foot section of pre-cut 3/4 inch pipe, and a 90-degree elbow, and that's going to make my little funnel for pouring this stuff into the tank. It's not going to be a real exact science as far as cutting and measurements here. I'll probably go about 6 inches away from the tank, so I'll cut a little piece of that and hand press them together. I don't need to glue them on, I just need to hand press them in. We don't really care about leaking at this point. And I think a hand press fit is going to be sufficient for what we need. Trimming off the edges of the cut pipe, you know, it's a simple kind of thing. If you got some sandpaper or if you have a file nearby, do that, smooth out the rough edges. I just use the edge of a screwdriver to simplify the project for me. So I've got the upright in place. I've screwed in the fitting that goes into the water heater itself, and I've got my little funnel system that's going here. And if you want to use a funnel to fill this thing up, by all means do that. It'll make your job a lot easier. I'm just going to pour the stuff in there and see if I can hit the spot and just make this as fast as I can for me to get this job done. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to use 3 gallons of distilled vinegar. Any brand will do. I'm going to pour that in there to get this tank halfway full. That'll get my 3 gallons. Then I'm going to fill the rest of this with just regular water. Okay, the vinegar mixture is all in place. We're good to go. I didn't spill too much, maybe 1/4 cup or something like that. No big deal. And we're going to let that sit overnight for 24 hours. Yesterday, I was out here adding the vinegar and the water solution to this thing, and it's snowing. I've got water in my tank, and I need to get rid of it before it freezes. So I'm going to flush this out. I've got a little bag here to filter out and screen the stuff that's going to come out so I can show you what's there so we can see what's there. I'm going to use this little screen bag here. It's like a little cheesecloth or something like that. And I'm going to dump the water out in this so that I can catch all the sediment and stuff that's in there, and I can see what was left over from being 24 hours of the water and vinegar solution. All right, so here's the plan. I'm going to take this bag, put it over this pipe section here. a lot cleaner now. And when I dumped the water out and I let the water kind of run through that, thinking I would catch all the big particles. And it did, but there weren't many big particles to catch. There were some darker flakes that came through, but really the corrosion that was inside, the white stuff, that just liquefied. It turned into, I didn't realize that was going to be the case, but it did. And so I really didn't get to capture any of that. I didn't put it into a bucket because I didn't have a 6-gallon bucket to hold it in. Well, this was the fix. You can see this thing was a lot cleaner after the flush. Man, that thing's like spotless. So I took my endoscope and I pushed it back inside there from draining it from the day before. Of course, it was snowing that day. Having the endoscope, that's a pretty handy tool for doing stuff in the RV where you just can't get to, or you just can't see as well, and it's getting harder for me to see some of these smaller things in darker places. In the first bucket, when I flushed it out the first time, the first day, before I put the vinegar in, this is what came out of it. There was a lot of material in there. I guess it wasn't a lot, but there was some. There was enough to know that I need to do this pretty regularly, at least keep my eye on it. If this is the kind of video that you enjoy for your RV and camping, click that like button down below. It helps the video, and of course it helps the channel. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to get more videos like this. And if you want to see some camping videos or other fix-it videos, check this one out right here. See you on the next one.